Okay, we're doing a double tonight. This one is NVHA 010008. It's September the 27th, 2001. Hershel McCorkle, United States Army, and United States Army Air Corps, World War II. Well, first of all, welcome, Hershel.
Thank you.
We happen to be at your son's house. So
yes, right.
It's an interesting arrangement. Well, okay, so what is your full name?
Hershel D. McCorkle.
Hershel D. McCorkle. And what was your rank at discharge?
PFC.
PFC.
Mm-hmm.
And you were, when were you born?
10/11/23.
10/11/23. Okay. Well, Private McCorkle, where were you born?
Well, up near Kokomo, right south edge of Kokomo.
Okay. Yeah, there at the big city. Was it, were you born in a home or in a hospital? Or?
I guess you're going to have to ask my mother about that because
Oh, was she there?
I hope so. No, I really don't know.
Okay. What was your mom's name?
Sarah Ann.
Sarah Ann?
Mm-hmm.
And what was her maiden name?
Howard.
Howard.
Mm-hmm.
As in Howard County.
Yes, right.
Had a whole county name.
Right.
Is she any connection with Howard of Howard County? Or?
Well, not that I know of.
And what was she like?
Well, it's hard for me, I think, to answer that question. A little difficult at times, and had a little jealous attitude at times, and and I don't know. I don't like to say bad things about my mother, but just a little difficult sometimes. And my father was just completely different and do anything for you or anything, But she was fine. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad.
Sure.
But
well, tell me about your father. What was his name?
Glenn, no middle name.
Okay.
And he was a farmer and died very young, 46 years old when he died, and just right after I got back from the war.
Wow.
And I was with him when he died, and it's tough. He had rheumatic fever and left him with septic arthritis and a bad heart, and we just he had real high blood pressure and his nose bled in a stream, and the night before he died, why, I had a feeling just I need to go home. And so we lived in Atlanta at the time, and I was anxious to go, and I said something to my wife. I said, I'm going home. And she said, well, wait a minute, and I'll go with you. And I just didn't want to wait, I just felt a need to get there. And but I did. I fought it off and waited, and when I went home, he was sitting in a chair and had a washpan under his nose, and his nose was bleeding in a stream. And of course, back then, the roads were bad, and a lot of gravel and this kind of thing. We lived, about, I suppose, 10 miles from Tipton, and that's where we went to a doctor. And so I told him, I said, come on, Dad. I said, we're going to a doctor. And he said, no, it'll quit after a while, because it would bleed until his pressure would drop, and then it would finally quit. And I said, no, tonight you're going to listen to me. You're going to a doctor. So I did get him in the car and got him over there, and the doctor started packing his nose. And of course, when you packed one side, it just bled and went out the other side. Then he would pack the other side, and then it would go down his throat, and he'd have to cough blood, And it was bad. And so the doctor, finally it did basically bleed till his pressure dropped. They didn't have blood pressure medicine in them days. And the doctor said, going over them rough roads, it'll probably start again. And why don't you just leave him here tonight can you stay with him? And my brother had came a little after I'd got him over there, and he had a job on a farm and he couldn't stay. And I said, well, I'll stay. So I stayed and sat in a chair out in the hall, just out of the room he was in, and tried to sleep a little if I could, you know, but didn't sleep much. But anyway, the next morning I got up, went in, and he sat up on the side of the bed, and we talked, and he said, I'll have a little trouble with this, but he said, I asked him, I said, could you eat something if I'd go get something? And he said, well, maybe. And I said, I'll go get a bite to eat down to the restaurant and something to drink. And so I did, and come back, and he sat up on the side of the bed and said to me, he said, you know, Hirsch, he said, if I got a younger sister, and he said, if I knowed her and my mother would be taken care of, he said, I'd be ready to go this morning. And I said, well, Dad, don't be silly, but I said, you know, we'd take care of. He said, that's what I wanted to know. He said, I'm going to lay down and turn over and next to the window and get a little bit of, it was in August, it was hot, and get a little more air. I said, okay. And he did. In a minute or two, he died. And I jumped up and run to get a nurse. They kept a nurse up there all night, and I hollered for her, and she came in, putting a house coat on, and threw the oxygen mask on him and asked me to hold it. And when she run and called the doctor come up the stairs, putting up his britches, and he was already gone. And so that's been a tough part of my life.
Yeah.
And
sounds like you were pretty close to your dad.
I was.
You're not like him, aren't you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But my dad do a lot more for you than my mother. You know, that's the difference I was trying to make, you know. But I don't want to say anything bad about my mother. But
So you had brothers and sisters?
yes, I got three. I had three brothers and a sister. I still got a sister. My three brothers are gone. Yeah.
What are their names?
Harold Richard was the oldest. Donald Eugene was next, and Daniel Earl was my youngest brother.
And your sister's name?
Betty O'Brien. It's Betty O'Brien now. I mean, she lives in Chicago, and they've got a place on the lake up at Lake Michigan in Michigan City.
What kind of a home situation was it? Was it out in the county or?
You mean my home?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was farm. My dad was a farmer, big coon hunter,
Yeah.
loved to coon hunt, and but he times was tough. But back then, you know, you're talking about just after the war and even before the war and the Depression and all them things, you know, and things pretty tough. And he got laid off washing boilers on the railroad and was out of work for, maybe do a day's work or two for a farmer, you know, or something like that. And he started farming in 1936. And I remember him having needing a horse when he started farming. And he had an old fella that was run a grocery store, and he said, I'll pay you sometime, you know. And this fella's name was Happy O'Toole, or I don't know if his first name was Happy or not, but that's what he called. And he said, I know it. And so he needed this horse, and old Hap said, well, he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. He owed him a grocery bill right then. And he said, tell you what I'll do. He said, you go up to the bank, take this note. No, I signed it, and tell them to give you the $50 you need for a horse. And Dad said, no. I said, I already owe you. And he said, I know you're good for it. He said, you take this and go up there and tell them to give you money for a horse. Well, he finally did. And they turned him down. And he went back and he laid the note down in front of Happy and he said, your name ain't any better than mine. And he said, oh, is that right? He said, they wouldn't let you have it. And he said, no. He turned around and went to safe, unlocked it, and pulled out $50 and handed to my dad cash. So he went and bought his horse, and that's where he got started farming. Now, he'd go out and work for somebody else, for quite a bit to use one of their tools and this kind of thing. It was really tough. And he lost a billfold one time when they was cutting wheat. If a rabbit was out, come out of that wheat, he was meat on the table. You run him down. Yeah. And he lost a billfold, $3 in it. They went out there at night shining flashlights to hunt it. So, Times are
tough. Yeah.
So anyway, that was basically my dad, but he was good-hearted, and when I went to the service, he went and bought my wife a wash machine to wash his dirty diapers. and different things like that. I mean, he didn't really have it to spare, but he spared it, No, he was a great guy, and I just didn't have him long enough.
What was a good thing about growing up on a farm?
Oh, I don't know. We just made fun for ourselves, We'd go over to gravel pits and go swimming and throw rocks at one another. I almost got hit in the head with one of them one time.
Real combat, huh?
Oh, yeah. On Sundays, we'd have rodeos, and I remember one time my oldest brother, he was ornery anyway, and he got on the horse forward, and they put a hitch rein on him, or a flank strap, I should say, and put my other brother, just older than me, on backwards, hold this hitch or flank strap, and of course, the tighter you pulled the strap, the more the horse would buck. But the only thing was, my older brother, when the horse get his head down, look out, And when the horse got to bucking, my oldest brother turned loose the reins and he bailed off and left my brother backwards on that. Hey, you seen a wild ride. But
where'd you go to school?
I went to Hobbs and to the 8th grade, and the old school still sitting out there, where the wicker factory, or not the factory, but the showroom is, and graduated in 41 from Windfall.
41. Mm-hmm. So Windfall was your high school?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what kind of things did you hear about as you were growing up that the adults would talk about, or that you pick up on the news? Did you pay much attention to world news? Or?
Well, not too much, because when I was growing up, you didn't have anything much. We didn't have electricity until after I come out of the service. Yeah. And we had an old battery-powered radio. Once in a while, you could get a word or two on it. And we had a wind charger to charge the battery and things like that. But it was pretty tough back when we was growing up, and the Depression and everything come on, and my dad didn't have a new car until, let's see, well, the first one was a Studebaker, the first new one he had, and I can't remember exactly what the year was, but it was, it was great to him. Yeah. And he had a team of sorrel horses, and well, if you put them out, and let them run in the field for a while, when they was coming, you brought them to the barn, they knowed what was going to happen. They was going to work. Well, you better have the front gate open, because as soon as you didn't, they was out on the road and down they went, So he was going to clean out a barn. He went and turned the horses in, and the gate wasn't closed out the road, and down the road they went. He got in that brand new car, and down, he said they'll come back faster than they went. So he went down, got around past them, Turned that car around, come back, and got right up against them, blowing the horn. Well, it was snowy, some ice on the road, and the first thing you know, one of them slipped. Well, he hit the brake, and he was on ice. It went right under the horse.
Ooh.
Pushed him clear back up to the windshield. and so you know what happened to the car.
He wasn't the best cowboy in the world.
No. But we had fun, you know, and I remember one time that me and my wife was married. Just got married, and I hadn't been but a little while. And we was putting up hay. And it was on an inside lift on the barn.
Right.
And they come out with what they called a 4-prong grab fork. It was a new item. And so the hay was a little bit tough, you know, green, and just almost too green to put in the barn, but it would hold together, you know, tight.
Right.
My dad was a big man. He was 220, 230, but he was kind of short. And he was going to show how much hay he could take up in one bite. And he got up on that grab fork and pulled her apart this way as he could and stomped her in the hay. We pulling it backwards with a 38, I believe it was a 38 Ford in reverse. We started pulling that hay up, and the first thing you know, the tractor started pulling loose from the roof of the barn and letting it down. Well, he hollered, let her down, you know. Well, we let her down, but the track had already been bent down. So he said, well, we got to get that track back up in there. We didn't have no ladder to go up that high, so we got the old harpoon fork and put a seat in it. And he told me, he said, I'm going to pull you up there. And he said, take this big hammer. And he said, drive that back up so you can put them hooks back in there. Well, that sounded good. So I got in that seat, and he said, now you want to watch up there. He said, be sure that car hits the carrier and locks in, because if it don't, it's going to trip and you're going down the end of the barn. Well, I'm watching up like this, trying to see when I could reach it. And I hadn't been able to reach it yet, and the car hit the carrier, and it didn't lock in. And here I took a wild ride down, it letting me down while it was racing for the end of the barn. And, well, it gave me a pretty good rap, but I was young and in pretty good shape. Throwed me out there, and there wasn't a stick of hay in the barn. I hit the barn floor, but I picked myself up, and I was all right. Yeah, I said,
First experience with the circus?
And I said to my dad, I said, before you can reach that, I said, that car's going to hit the carrier. Oh, I said, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. He said, well, like I said, he was a bigger man. So we put that seat back in that fork. He got in there, and he's going to show me how to do it. Well, we was pulling, I got ahead of myself. We was pulling him up by hand, or me up by hand, but he was a lot bigger than I was. And then when we tied to the front of that car and started going to pull backwards, I'm going to go real slow. I said, Dad, before you can reach that, the car's going to hit the carrier. I said, I'll be all right. Well, we got up there, and the same thing happened to him. It happened to me. It tripped and didn't lock. Only thing, he was heavier, and it let him down faster, and he hit an 8-bait as he was going down across there, and it got him to swinging like this, and when he hit the barn, he took weatherboarding off, I'll tell you. Well, it knocked him out, and he fell to the barn loft. And we had to get him up, and he was just like a big toad just bent over going, oh, you know. And anyway, we had to bring him down a straight ladder. And because they just went straight up and down, I mean, we didn't have him leaning over. But anyway, we got him down, and we're going to have to get you to the doctor. And he said, we're going to make hay. And anyhow, finally, between my wife and a neighbor's wife, they agreed to take him to the doctor. If we can go ahead and make hay, he'd go. Well, they did, and when he come back, why, he had 3 ribs broke here, and the same ones back here, and I always laughed at him, told him he had more floating ribs. But we had a lot of fun. We'd get out in the old hog lot and throw, in the winter time, throw them old frozen corn cobs full of crap. We had fun. We made our own fun, you know. But we better move on to something else. I can tell you a lot of them stories.
You didn't have a video game to play with?
Oh no, them a little early.
So, when you were in high school, what kind of ambitions did you have? Did you think you'd be a farmer, or?
I really don't know what I thought. You know, I was the only one out of the kids that graduated. Only my kid sister, and of course she was about 12, 13 years younger than me. And my dad wanted me to go on to college, but I wasn't in the mood for that, you know. And the other boys never did graduate out of high school, and so I just never had really no ambition going on to college. And
So when did you graduate?
in 41.
41?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's right. You said that. So it would have been June of 41. So did you think that we were going to get involved in a war at that point?
Not really, I guess. At that point, things looked pretty bad, and you know, but not right when I graduated. I guess I didn't think too much about it. I went to work for a fella on a farm, and not on a full-time basis, but just whenever he needed help. Yeah, and I don't know whether you know Hershel Trimble or not. That lives up north of Elwood yet, but he's up in his 80s, you know, well in his 80s, and I worked for him, and that's where I was working when Pearl Harbor. I remember I was in milking cows when I heard it.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Tell me the story.
Well, I don't know. You was shocked, I guess. I mean, you really wasn't expecting. It was something that you wasn't expecting, and it made you mad, you know. I mean, in that respect, but I don't know really how to say anything else but that, you know. Just
was it a thing where people at that point didn't even know what Pearl Harbor was, or I mean?
Well, probably not too many, you know. I mean, it wasn't real versed on it, you know, or anything like that. I knowed it was a base, and that's about all I knew, you know. And so, but as far as really knowing anything more than that, I really didn't know. I've learned a lot since, but I didn't know too much yet then.
You probably, by that time, figured out that we might be going to war against Germany.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But did you expect the Japanese to get involved in it?
Well, not at that point, no. I really, you know, Hitler was doing a lot of stuff and everything, and but I really hadn't expected Japan to jump in yet.
Yeah.
But
so, you heard about Pearl Harbor, and then did you enlist or were you drafted?
Oh, I was drafted.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I got
when was that?
April the 6th, 44. I got married in June, and was drafted the next April.
Wow.
And it's kind of tough, you know, leaving a new wed.
Where'd you meet your wife?
In Tipton, at a square dance.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know, they had a square dance over there, and we used to square dance, and that's another one of our things that we done, you know. And we used to have them in our house out on the farm where I lived. And we just had one big room that we just clear out, you know, and put a little cornmeal down on a bare floor and get just some local music and a few neighbors and stuff, you know, and we'd have a dance, you know.
Like fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. But then first thing you know, more people would come uninvited and this kind of thing, and the first thing you know, why they went to bringing drink and that kind of thing, and we ended up just having to quit, you know, because it just getting out of hand. But you asked me about where I met my wife. It was a place there in Tipton, and they had a square dance hall, and I'd square danced, of course, ever since I was a little kid, and so I went there to the square dance that night, and of course, I seen her, you know, and she hit my eye. I went over and I said, come on, let's dance. And she said, I don't square dance. And I said, you are tonight. And I took her by the hand and had to do a little pulling, but I got her out on the floor, and we had a good time, and she's about all I danced with that night.
She got herself a take charge guy.
Yeah, right.
What's her name?
Mary Maxine. She goes basically by Maxine, but Mary is her. Mary Maxine is the way it's.
And what's her maiden name?
Gray.
Gray.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she was from Goldsmith, and a little tough to get to her sometimes, you know, because back in them days, why these automobiles wasn't real convenient.
Yeah.
And but anyhow, that's another thing I thought a lot about my dad. He'd try to get me the vehicle get there, you know, and do more for me like that than my mother. And that's another thing, you know. She didn't think I had no business doing it, but
Didn't want her little boy messing with any of those Goldsmith girls.
there you go.
So you got the word to go. That had to be kind of hard, being married.
Yeah, and they sent me down to the one at Indianapolis. What's the name of it?
Fort Harrison?
Fort Harrison, Benjamin Harrison. Sent me down there to start with, and then sent me to Camp Robinson, Arkansas. I took 17 weeks basic training in Camp Robinson, and like I say, we had married in June, and I had to go leave the next April, so it was pretty tough. And
What was there when you said goodbye?
well, yeah, that's something I just really don't remember how many was there, but I'm sure they were all there, you know. My mother, my dad, and all was there, I'm sure. And I took 17 weeks basic infantry training down there, and of course I was a kind of a smart aleck kid when I went in the service. I realize that now, you know, and I had a first sergeant that went through hollering lights out, you know, and they got a lot of them guys pretty good at imitating him, you know. And my wife was supposed to come down and be down there for a week or so, and he went down through there that night hollering lights out, and I told him to go take a pee and go to bed. I thought it was one of these other guys. Well, it wasn't.
That was probably a mistake.
A big one. So I'd done a lot of KP, a lot of guard duty, and had to call my wife, and not call her, I guess. She said I sent her a telegram not to come because I was grounded. Anyway, why, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then.
No, I bet it was. So where'd you go from there?
Well, I come home for a 10-day delay en route to Camp Kilmer, New Jersey. I got home the 17th day of August, and that boy was born the 18th day of August,
Holy smokes.
the next day.
That's good timing.
Yeah, but she did get to come down there later, and she come on the train, and of course, I asked her the other day, I said, where did you get the money to come? And she said, we didn't have none. And she said, I don't remember. She said, I know your dad had to loan it to me.
Yeah.
And I said, she said, I remember saying something to your mother. Well, of course, that's my mother again. about she wanted like to have money to go come down, you know. And my mother said, I'd like to go too, but I don't have the money. And so that's some of the bad feelings there, you know. But my dad, he'd find it somewhere, you know. And he gave her, or I'm sure he did. I said I know he did, but I told her, I said, well, I said I don't think you went out there doing anything wrong to get it. And she was pregnant pretty well too with that boy. But anyway, we laugh about it, you know. But she said she can't remember for sure, but she knew that my dad had to let her have it, you know. And like I said, he bought her the wash machine too to wash his dirty diapers. But anyway, why? Then he was 8 days old, and I went off to Camp Kilmer, New Jersey, and that was an overseas base, and it was tough.
What was your rank at that time?
Well, I was just a private at that time, yeah. And anyway, why? Of course, I just got out of my basic training, and I went to Camp Kilmer, New Jersey, and I was writing my wife a letter. And a fellow walked up to me, another GI, and he said, what are you doing? And I said, oh, just writing my wife a letter. And he said, she got a good-looking sister? And I said, well, I don't know. It's according who's looking at her. And he said, have her write to me. And he was from Kansas. And he had joined the service and had lost his wife. And I guess he was pretty lonesome, just decided to go in the service. And I said, okay. He said, you won't do it. Well, nobody tells me you won't do it and get by with it, because I'll do it, you know. So I did. I told my wife, I said, tell Roxy to write to him. And so she did, and her sister said, well, you think I really should? And she said, well, probably somebody just needs somebody to correspond with, you know. And so she wrote him a letter. And he answered it, and we went overseas together, but we didn't stay together after we got over there. I mean, we got separated. And but to make a long story short, they corresponded back and forth while he was in the service, and after he got out, well, he's from Fredonia, Kansas, and he come out to see her. And he was here, a short while, I don't know, a week maybe, something like that. And he went back, and his dad asked him, he said, well, what kind of girl was she? Well, she's real nice. Good-looking girl? Yeah. Well, he said, why didn't you bring her back with you? And he said, well, he just really didn't know. Well, he was gone maybe a month or so, and he come back, and that time he took her back. Yeah. So anyway, he turned out to be my brother-in-law. Wow. And so anyway, we got separated over there, and I didn't see him anymore, and I had a next-door neighbor while I was out there on the farm, and he went to service same time I did, went same locations and everything, and we got separated after we left Camp Kilmer and went on overseas. We got separated, and he didn't make it back. He got killed. And Joe Legg. Mm-hmm.
Where was he killed, do you know?
No, really, I don't know where or just how. It was in the infantry close to where I was at, but I've never found out. I've never seen the family much, you know, after I got back, and so I didn't really find out anything about him, but it was kind of a touchy situation, and still is. You know, I get a little emotional when some of these things come up, and but anyway, I don't know how he was killed or what. And I went on up started out with the 4th Infantry, And where I joined them was in the Hürtgen Forest in Belgium. And if you've ever been in a dark place, that's it.
I think I read about that once.
Is that right?
Just very, very thick forest.
Oh, very.
Very spooky and surreal. It wasn't.
Yeah, and there was very little daylight, or not daylight, but moonlight at night come through, and it didn't get daylight until late in the morning, and it got dark early, in the afternoon, and so basically most of it was darkness, and there was just spots once in a while where the moon would get a break to come through and hit the ground. And I got something I got to tell you from this. I was on guard duty. It was 2 hours on and 2 hours off. 2 hours off was in a wet foxhole with wet blankets, I'll tell you. And you'd about as soon be on duty as off in most cases, because it wasn't very comfortable when they're in their wet blankets. But anyway, they give us an order that nobody was to get out of a foxhole. And if you had to go to the bathroom, you done it in your steel helmet, you bailed it over the side. And when you was on guard duty, if anything moved, you was to shoot to kill. And this night, it was about, I was on it from 2 o'clock to 4. And the first thing you know, I heard something. Well, they had taken all the hand grenades away because, there was deer in there, there was all kind of animals in there. There was limbs a-cracking all the time. So, first thing you know, they're throwing hand grenades by the bushel basketfuls, so they took them away. So all you had was your M1. And you was under orders. Anything that moved, you was to kill. Then they sent a patrol, unbeknownst to us, because we was right behind the lines, up to the lines to find out if they was awake. Which when they got up there, they found out they wasn't. But anyway, first thing you know, I heard something, and I was behind a tree as big as I could find. And I thought it sounded like it was getting closer. But I couldn't make out, the conversation or anything. They got close enough. Finally, I began to pick up, and I was made up my mind. It had to be English. I could pick up this word now and then, but I couldn't tell what they were saying. But the closer they got, the more I could tell it was English. Well, here I am behind a tree with orders to shoot to kill. Yeah. And it was pitch dark. You couldn't see anything but one small splotch of moon shining through the trees that hit the ground. And before they got to that light, I bellered out for them to halt, and I was loaded down on them. I'm not joking. And I told her, I need the password. And one of them said, from here, this distance. I said, you see that spot of light shining on the ground? Yeah. I said, you walk straight to that light. Don't veer off one bit. Because if I do, I'm under orders to shoot. And I said, you get to that light. And when you hit that light, you stop. I don't want you to come one step past it. And he said, okay. And they come up and stopped at the light just like I told them to. And I asked them the password, and they gave it to me, and it was right. And I asked them a few other questions, and why was they out? And they told me they was ordered to go up and check the front line to see if they was awake. And I was still Germans, some of them could speak English. And you didn't know what to do, and I could have been court-martialed for not following orders. But I couldn't kill him. You know, I had to take the chance. If it was me, it was me. And I told him, I said, okay, you come on, but you come up slowly. I wanted to see all I could see and get all the information out of him I could. And finally I convinced myself, yeah, you're okay. But I often think about what I could have done to a squad of our own troops, you know, and through no fault of mine. And yeah, but anyway, we got through that one all right. Well, it wasn't just a little while after that. They was needing some replacements. I was with no outfit very long, I'll tell you that. My records got behind me and got all filed up, and I didn't get paid for 6-7 months at a time, you know, and this kind of thing, but that was minor. But anyway, we got out of that okay, and then it was needing some replacements in the 78th Infantry Division, and some of us got transferred over to it.
Okay, before you get into that,
Okay.
I have a question about that forest.
I gotta change.
Okay, we're gonna. Wait a minute. Do you need a break?
No, I'm
All
okay.
right, okay.
I'm all right.
All right. Okay. Going back to the forest.
Okay.
Did it feel as though the trees were moving?
They was deer in there. They was all kind of animals. It was a scary situation. It was pitch dark. You could see nothing but, like I say, a splotch of light here and there where it come through. It was an eerie, scary situation. And you didn't know whether you'd rather be in the foxhole or out on guard duty, you know, because one of them was just about as uncomfortable as the other one, you know. But
Sounded like Russ's situation where you just didn't know where the enemy was.
right,
It could just happen at any time.
Right, and actually, it was just eerie, you know. I don't know any other word to use for it, you know, and just a tough place to be in, you know.
Yeah.
What kind of battles were there? Was it artillery going back and forth?
Well,
or what all happened there?
not so much right then when I was there, and like I said, I'm getting transferred out of there. You know, wasn't there just a little bit,
Yeah.
and I'm getting transferred out of there to the 78th Division. That's the old Pennsylvania Buddy Bucket Division of 78th,
Yeah.
and that was right up on the Siegfried Line, and I got over there. I think I'm well, I'm trying to clear my head a little bit, but anyway, it was all pillboxes and dragon's teeth, what they call
Yes.
dragon's teeth. You know what you've read about it, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, for people years from now who won't know what it is,
It was just big stone slabs out here, and they was I don't know, pretty high, you know. And it was primarily to stop tanks from going through, and they was pretty good square size and kind of come up in not a cone, but they come up and then squared off on top. And what they done then, the Germans went out there and laid minefields in these dragon teeth. Well, I got up there with the 78th Infantry and got put with this squad, and they said, well, you don't have to worry, because said that our squad sergeant or leader said he got them minefields figured out, and that he can walk them and walk you right through them. And well, I never walked one. He ended up, before I ever got up there to walk one with him, why I got a tree burst of a mortar shell, and I got hit up here in the upper thighs, and they would bring tanks up with them big flamethrowers on. That's the only thing that would bring them out of them pillboxes. I mean, they had P-38s with a 500-pound bomb under each wing, and they'd come in there, it looked like the same plane, just making a constant circle.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so many of them, and they'd peel off and drop a bomb and maybe hit one of them pillboxes just point blank. Just a little dust fly, and that's all. I mean, them walls on that thing was so thick, that they wouldn't penetrate. Then they'd peel off the other way and drop the other bomb. Then they'd make their strafing run, and they was gone. But it was just a constant circle of them. Wow. And I got ahead of my story a little bit too. I want to go back. Something I forgot, and it was before even I got up to the 4th Infantry Division. I seen a German buzz bomb, V2 buzz bomb.
Did you really?
Yeah, and what they was doing was trying to throw them on frontline troops. They'd used them on England, and all that kind of thing, but they got desperate and was trying to drop them on frontline troops. Well, that thing, you talk about a racket. You never heard any. You ain't even heard a racket till you hear one of them, and fire flying out of that thing, feet, I mean, way on back, and just rattling up a storm. And it was probably over 2 times treetop height.
Huh.
Well, I was in a Belgium house, and it had clay tile. Just like you take a clay tile and slice it half in two and then turn it upside down for a roof. Well, that thing hit the ground, I suppose, I'm going to get guessing, but maybe a half a mile, quarter to half a mile away. And I don't know how many Red Cross trucks or ambulances you could have drove off in that thing and covered up and never knowed they was there. I mean, it done that much of a hole, But what sticks in my mind more than anything else was them clay tile. I mean, they busted them things and they come sliding off that roof just like, thick. And I guess now I'll get back up to where I was at up on them, that Siegfried Line. But like I said, they'd bring them big tanks up there, with them flamethrowers on. Well, that would move the Germans out of the tank, out of them pillboxes, because
Did you still have to go in after they did their job, or?
Well, I never did.
Yeah.
I'm sure some did, but anyhow, that's the only way you could get them out of there.
Yeah.
Was just put fire around them, and but anyway, I didn't, because I got hit before I got into that, and I got a tree burst out of a mortar shell. And I was in a foxhole, uncovered, with Bob Mays from Oil City, Pennsylvania. And when I got hit, I really didn't know I was hit. I felt like somebody took a club and hit me right across the hips here, right across here, just as hard as you could hit somebody. And they had just brought up some hot oatmeal, and it was in the morning. And that's the first hot stuff that had been up there. We'd been eating K rations forever, K or C, one or the other. And old May said, Mac, he said, I'm going to get me some hot oatmeal. He said, you going to get some? And I said, yeah. So we bailed up, or he did, and he got out of the, I don't know whether he got out or, I guess we just started to get up and get out, and first we got that tree burst. That's when it got me. It didn't get him. And he said, I believe I'm going to do without some oatmeal. He said, what about you? And I said, yeah, I think so. And he jumped out of that and he said, somebody's going to have to move over. We're going into a covered hole. And I said, I'm right behind you. And he said, well, come on, are you going? And I said, I don't know. I can't get up. And now, it's hard to believe, but I noted something. I thought it was concussion.
Right.
That's really what I thought it was. And he said, well, come on. I ain't going to stand out here. Well, there's another fellow standing out by a pine tree. And they finally come over there, and we hollered at him, told him he better get in the hole. And he said he'd been there since, I understand, from D-Day.
Right.
Well, we was up there on the German border then, the German-Belgian border. He said, if I get hit and get killed, it's over. If I don't, I go back to the hospital. I'm better off either way. And I felt so sorry for that guy. And
Do you remember his name?
no, that's one thing that bothers me to this day, because they went to get me out of that hole and I couldn't stand on my feet. And they got me out and I took a couple of steps with their support. And I said, I think I'm okay now. And they turned me loose and I hit the ground like a ton. And then they got me back up and then we took a few more steps and I said, I can make her now. And they turned me loose and I hit her again. And anyway, the two of them got me up, and it was a 10 hospital across the road, not too awful far. And they got me back to that and laid me down in there, and I ain't seen either one of them since, not even to thank them. And the doctor in charge come over to me and he said, "You been hit?" And I said, "I don't know, sir." Well, there was people laying everywhere, you got to imagine. And he kind of blowed. He said, "You mean tell me you're in here and we got all this and you don't know whether you've been hit or not?" I said, "I don't know, sir, I can't walk." And he said, "Well, if you've been hit, where at?" And I said, "Up across here." And that's where I told you it felt like somebody hit me with a bat as hard as they could hit me. And he took big scissors. He went right up each leg and then across here.
Yeah.
And just laid my pants back off of me. And I raised up and looked, and I wasn't nothing but a mass of blood then. And of course, then I began to hurt because I seen it, you know. And to this day, the poor fellow that was standing out by the tree, I don't know his name. I know the other fellow because he was in the foxhole with me, but I don't know this other fellow's name, and I've never thanked that man for helping me get back across the road. So then they loaded us on Red Cross ambulances, and it was muddy, snowy, soft, and they got hung up. And of course, they rocking that thing to try to get it out, you know, and then's when I really got to hurting.
I bet.
And they took us back into Belgium farther. I can't tell you exactly where at. I don't remember. But the sights I seen in that hospital, you can't believe it. I can't hardly talk about it. One poor fella, I'm going to try this. I don't know whether I can make it or not.
It's okay.
One poor fellow groaned, and I just turned my head to look, and he had the whole side of his head blowed away. Blood streaming on the floor. And I don't know his name. I know he can't be living today. And I couldn't look at no more. I mean, I just couldn't do it. I was there a little while, for 2 or 3 days, I think, but everything's kind of a blur. And where I got hit was right there, and it just missed the bone and come out right back there. and another piece got me right in there. Now how it done, whether it hit a rock or how, I don't know. But anyway, they cut a place from about right there to right there to the, down to the bone, you know, to where it went through, and packed it with dry wrapping gauze. And then they shipped me from there back to France and put me in a hospital back there.
You know, where in France?
It was near Paris, maybe right in Paris, I'm not real sure.
Right.
But anyway, this place got the itching so bad I just wanted to dig it, you know. And I called a ward boy and told him, I said, they got to do something with my leg. I said, it's driving me crazy. And he said, well, I have to get a doctor. I can't do it. And I said, okay. So he got a doctor, and that doctor come in there and took a look at it, and he said, my land, he said, how long's that been in there? He said, that's supposed to been out there about 3 days. I said, well, couldn't remember for sure. I said, week, 10 days, I don't know, you know. And he said, well, that's got to come out. Okay. Well, he had a nurse in there, and he got a long pair of, looked like needle nose pliers, and a pair of scissors, and he went to pulling and cutting. Well, my butt was coming off the place about this high, because it had all dried, and the flesh had about growed to it, you know, and everything. And I told him, boy, I had to hold that litter that I was laying on and squeezing the pulp out of it. And I was still having to scream. And he said, I'm going to have to get you some help. I said, yeah, I appreciate that. Well, he got me some help. He got a ward boy. And him and the nurse held me while they took it out.
Oh, gee. Wow.
But it had to come out. I figured he was going to deaden it.
Yeah.
But they didn't. But anyway, he got it out of there. And they sewed that up together, and they took great big long stitches and went on around here and pulled it together, and then took smaller stitches and sewed it in, you know, here. And I was there for a little while, and I don't remember how long. And then they're going to take me back to England. So they loaded us on some C-51 transport planes, go across the English Channel. Well, if you've ever took a ride, don't take it across there. Not in an old army plane, let me tell you. They say that's the roughest air in the world, and I believe every word of it. You get going across that thing, and the wings are flopping like this, and the first thing you do, you'd hit light air, and you'd fall straight down till you'd hit solid air. Then you'd bounce just as far as you went down, you'd bounce up. And I never got so sick. You talk about seasick, you ain't been seasick till you've been airsick. I never got so sick in my life, and they had little portholes in them windows. And the only way I kept from upchucking was unscrewing that, open my mouth, and stick it right over that thing and let air blow it down, back down my throat, I guess. But I did manage not to vomit. And anyway, we got across that and went into this hospital in England. And I don't know, I was just how long I was over there. It don't matter, really. I seen some wild things in that place, too. And one that I remember distinctly was a fella that I told you was in this squad, that the squad leader could walk the minefield. And I looked at him and I thought, that guy looks familiar. And I noticed he kept looking at me. And finally he said, have I seen you somewhere before? And I said, that's what I've been thinking about. And he said, was you with the 4th Infantry? And I said, yeah, for a little while. He said, that's where we was at. And then he called up the squad leader's name, and I can't remember it today,
Yeah.
but I knew it then. And we had been in the same squad up there in that. Well, come to find out, the Germans had went out and relayed that minefield. He knowed how to walk the old minefield, but he didn't know that he walked them right in on top of them after they relayed it. And he was one of them that got hit, and he said, I think he said all but about 3 of them walked in on them mines. And he didn't know part of the details even himself, you know, because he got boogered up and they got him out of there as quick as they could. But anyway, why, another thing I seen in there, you guys all know what a helmet liner is.
Right.
And the old hard steel helmet. This guy showed me his helmet, where a bullet hit that steel helmet, went through it, ricocheted off, went around between them to the back and went out the back.
Holy smokes.
He showed me the helmet, welded them together. And, but you know, there's so many things in the hospital that you don't even want to talk about, you know. And but that's just some things that, you know, I remember. Well, from there.
Where in England? What town? Remember?
No, I don't. When I went over, it was Exeter. I went to Exeter going over, but going back, I'm not real sure where I was at. And then after I got out of there, they sent me into limited service, and I went back across the channel by boat, thank heaven, and an old landing craft to get off of to hit the shore and wade water.
Was it a Higgins boat?
Huh?
Was it a Higgins boat?
Oh, I don't know
And the
what.
ramp came down the front?
Yeah, yeah.
You get sick?
Huh?
You get sick on LST?
Well, not too bad because we wasn't too far to go when we got there.
I
and
got sick on that.
Did you?
I didn't get sick on the ship. I got sick on the landing craft.
Yeah.
I heard they bounced quite a
I
bit.
was glad to hit the beach.
Yeah.
Didn't go off.
Yeah. And they just let that old door down and you all heard it out just like
Ready to go.
you storming the beach, but we wasn't.
Yeah.
Thank heaven.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You didn't have LST, did you?
I went back then to
We
France,
had the helicopter.
and I can't remember. It seems to me like it was Ris Oranges, but I can't be sure.
Well, where did you land? Do you remember where you landed in France?
Going back?
Going back?
Well, no, I don't. Not for sure. I don't.
Well, how about the first time? You said you went to Exeter,
England.
England, and then from there you came over to the continent.
Yeah, I went over, but we got on 40 and 8 rail cars,
Right.
and of course you know what that was. That was 40 people or 8
horses.
Yeah, or 40 people or 8 horses, and anyhow it was crowded and oh man, it was miserable to ride in. But they took us up on them quite a ways, and then we loaded on trucks to go on up to the front.
Okay.
But anyway, then when we went back, I don't remember too much about it until I got back to this new unit I was assigned to. This was in your Air Corps unit.
Okay.
It was the 70. I got a lot of 78s in my background. This was the 78th Troop Carrier Squadron of the 435th Troop Carrier Group, and you towed gliders, hauled paratroopers, and this kind of thing. And I was of course, in the ground crew, and they made me a switchboard operator, the old kind where you picked up the wires and plugged them in, you know, and that kind of thing. And when the tabs fell down on the crazy system, and Well, anyway, that was my job in the Air Corps. Well, all the time I was on the front, I never got any points toward discharge. Like I said, my records all got behind me.
Yeah.
And I didn't get paid because I'd been with too many groups, moving the whole time.
Right.
And back in the hospital and all that stuff. And so I got in there, and they give me this job as this switchboard operator. And we was on an old German bomber base. And the woods was all loaded with bombs scattered around that they hadn't even got moved or blowed up or anything. And they had a narrow gauge rail track going out there where they'd take cars and load these bombs on them and to take them to the planes. Well, anyway, VE Day was announced. And we had a Scotch cook. Now, I understand this. Now, this is what was told to me. I didn't.
Right.
And 2 or 3 other GIs, and they was going to celebrate. So they went out there and set off a set of fire under one of these bombs. And when it went off, it set off an incendiary. Well, when that incendiary went off, of course, fire flew, and
No.
here fire was flying all around all them stacks of bombs out there. And they tell me that the Scotch cook was killed. I don't know,
Oh my.
personally, but I don't know about the other fellas. But I do know that squadron commander was on that telephone, and whenever he come on, his line took priority, brother.
Yeah.
And so I threw the wire in, and he said, "What in the hell is going on out there?" I said, "I don't know, sir." He said, "What do you mean you don't know?" I said, "I'm on the switchboard. I'm in, I can't leave." And he's asked me what's going on. And he said, "Well, call the fire department." I said, "They're already on their way. You could hear the sirens." And so anyway, they got out there, and they did get the fire put out without a bunch of other bombs going off. But I stayed in with that outfit until I come back to the States on a delay en route to the other theater, the Japanese theater or Middle East. And anyway, while I was home, they announced VJ Day.
Oh.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And we went downtown and really had a celebration you wouldn't believe.
I'll
But
bet.
I was supposed just to be coming home just long enough for a short stay and then go right on to Japan Theater. But that pretty well then took my career to an end, which I'm thankful for. But
I'll bet. Well, what was your mobility like after you got out of the hospital?
it wasn't very good for a while, but it constantly got a little bit better. And after I got back home, I got a place about as big as my fist that kept wanting to swell up where they had sewed this up, and everything. And I'd have to kind of walk spraddle-legged, because it'd rub, So I went up to a doctor at home, and he had been in the service, and he took a look at it, and he said, "You got nerve damage." He said, "I can't do nothing for it." And he said, "The only thing I can do is send a report back that you might get better, you might not. I don't know." And so he did, and they give me a 20% disability, which I still got today. And but my leg did finally, straighten up to where I got a bad scar, of course, and everything, but I can live with that.
Oh yeah.
But it don't rub and didn't give me problems like it did, you know. But it lasted for, I don't know, a couple of 3 years, I suppose, after I got out of service, and it kept giving me some trouble. But now I just live with it and don't bother me.
I assume you got a Purple Heart for that?
Oh yeah.
They didn't give it to your lieutenant?
No, they give that to me.
Yeah.
But you know, I was in Popefield, North Carolina when I got discharged, and this is something. My brother had been in the Japan theater for 4 years, which I hadn't seen him, and he got home on a discharge, a point discharge. And like I said, my records had got behind me, and
right.
I never got points that I should have got, and this kind of thing. I'd been home on a I don't know whether 7 or 10 day Christmas furlough, and hadn't been back but 2 or 3 weeks. And my brother got home and got discharged. Well, I wanted to see him, so I went in to my squadron commander and, of course, gave him all the salutes and all that kind of thing, and told him the situation. He said, "Well, you just gone from here on a Christmas furlough." And I said, "Yes, sir. I understand that." But I said, "You surely understand this situation." He said, "Yes, I do." But he said, "I'm going to tell you, if I give you a furlough to go see your brother, every one of them in here is going to have a brother get discharged, or and they're going to want to go home and see him, and I can't do it." I said, "I understand that, sir," and I did, really. But I walked out of there and I thought, hey, I've got points coming that I haven't got, and I'm going to go do some checking. And I walked directly from his office to the operations office. And I said, I got a major in there and told him the situation. He said, "You mean you ain't even got any points for when you was hit?" And I said, "No, sir." Well, he said, "This is crazy." And I said, "Well, my records got all fouled up," and I said, "They just didn't get them on there."
Yeah.
And he walked over to the captain, and he said, "Captain," he said, "you get on the phone." He told him the situation. He said, "You get on the phone and don't you stop till you find out where he's got his points coming from." He said, "All right, sir." Well, I sat down there, and I don't know, I sat there a good while. And finally he walked back to me and he said, "Well, I found out where you got 5 of them coming from. Now where's the other 5? I knowed I would have 10 at least." I said, "You don't need to worry about them other 5. I only need 3 and I got 5. Did you just give to me?" I said, I walked out of there, went right back to that squadron commander's office, give him the highs again, and I said, they told me to give you these." And he looked at that. We said, "You was just in here wanting to go home on a furlough." I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "You said I couldn't go." And I said, "I got points I knew for enough for discharge." And I said, "I went down and they told me to bring this back to you." He said, "I'll be damned." And he said, "I've got some leaving here tomorrow for Wright-Patterson Field, Ohio." But he said, "You ain't got no paperwork done. You got to go through the medical situation and all that kind of thing." He said, "If you could be ready, you could go tomorrow." I said, "Sir, I'll be ready." And it took some doing, but this bird was ready. And the next day I flew out of there for Wright-Patterson Field, Ohio for discharge.
That's great.
But that's about the story of, I guess, of my service time.
So when you first got home and saw this little kid, how much time had it been?
Close to a year. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember for sure. Let's see. I got out in April. No, I got out in February, and he was born the August before.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
grew up quite a bit, haven't
Yeah, but you don't know what a feeling it was to, to get home, and I'd left a wife, but not married to quite a year, and a son who was only 8 days old, and it was quite an experience to get.
So tell me about it. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, how do you explain it? I don't know.
Did she-
you just
Did she
feel
know you were coming home, or did you just sort of spring it on her?
Well, no, I don't remember. Undoubtedly. Well, if I'd done it, I'd had to have done it, I guess, from Ohio, because I was busy the day before trying to get ready, and I really don't remember this. I hadn't thought about it, I guess. It's just great.
She didn't get mad at you for just coming home, dropping in, did she?
I don't think so. And and I wrote this in these notes. And you're talking about my dad, and I got to tell you this. I won't take much time.
Oh, you got fine.
Shortly later, my dad told me how I should really be proud of my wife, how she conducted her life and took care of our son while I was away. What more could I ask for?
Yeah.
And, that's made me love her more than you'd ever imagine.
That's right.
And we've been married now 58 years.
That had to be tough. Young girl, brand new baby, and that had to be tough.
Yeah, it was. It was really tough.
She had to worry about you. And, two things we didn't cover. How did you get over there? How did you get across the ocean?
Queen Mary.
Queen Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Nice luxury liner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I tell you, the holes is, and you better hope somebody stacked on top of you don't pee the bed.
Well, that's the first time I've heard that said. How was the trip over?
It was rough. I mean, when the Queen Mary, like I said a while ago, when the Queen Mary bowed, draws water over, it's pretty rough.
It
And
was pretty rough.
of course, you was changing course every little bit, because safety measures,
Zigzagging for
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, just safety measures and this kind of thing. Yeah, I got seasick, but like I said, nothing like I did on that airplane to come
Wow.
across that English Channel. It was something.
Well, how'd you come back across the ocean?
By boat. By what boat? I don't even know. I don't remember.
You were so happy you didn't carry.
Yeah, yeah, no, don't matter.
You probably walked back.
Yeah. But I, where I got my points to get discharged was when I was in the Air Corps. Every time a plane went on a combat mission, the whole outfit got points.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's where I generated my points for discharge.
Now, what kind of planes were going out of this base?
Well, they was you was pulling gliders with them. Shoot. I can't think offhand the size plane that they was pulling them with right now, but they would pull a twin glider, and we put an air show on up over New York. I never told you this either, and I don't know whether you want this on
Go ahead.
on tape or not. Well, I got something I don't like to say, but anyhow, we put an air show up over on New York, and they compelled you to go. If you was detailed, why you went.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I had not been paid, and they said that we was going to have to maybe furnish our own rations and quarters while we was there and get reimbursed when we come back. I didn't have no money.
Wow.
And so I went to my squadron commander, and I told him, the situation. And he said, if I start letting them out, then everybody will want out. And they said, I can't do it. You'll have to go. Well, I didn't know what to do. Here I am, no money, and I got to go. And the fellow told me, he said, this is the part I really didn't want on tape.
If
I
you
guess.
don't want to put it on, that's fine.
Stop the tape if you want to stop.
But,
If,
but
yeah.
What's done?
well,
If
it's
you don't
about,
want to say it, don't say it.
it's about the Red Cross. And
Well, you can say that.
huh?
I've heard plenty of stuff about the Red Cross. You can,
Okay. Well, anyway, a fellow said, "Why don't you go over and see the Red Cross about getting a loan?" I hadn't thought about it, and I thought, well, that's about the only thing I got a chance for, you know. So I goes over there, and here this fellow was in his Red Cross office, and he was all decked out in his Red Cross uniform, you know, and every button shining. I didn't look much like a soldier. I was in old khakis and probably wasn't very slick shaven, and you know, and I looked a little rough, I know. But anyway, I told him what I was there for, and he just sat and he looked at me up at my head, and he just followed me down to my feet. Then he'd go back up. And he done that 2 or 3 times. Finally, he looked at me and he said, "Well, I don't know. Are you a soldier?" And that hit me a little bad because, and I thought I'd done a little bit of my part.
yeah.
And I just stood there and looked at him, and I just done him like he done me. And I said, "Well, I don't know whether I am or not. Are you?"
Yeah.
So I turned around and walked to the door, and he hollered for me to come back. And I said, "No, I don't need you." And I turned around and went on and walked out. And I went on the air show that they put on up there, and they did furnish their own rations and quarters, so it turned out okay for me. But all I was asking the man for was a loan, not a gift.
Yeah.
He could redline my pay and got his money. But I wouldn't have took his money after he made the remark he did, you know. I wouldn't have took it. I didn't care how bad. Because I think he would have given it to me once I just turned around and went back. But he'd done turned me off by then. And I'll tell you something else. And my brother said the same thing. We paid for donuts off the Red Cross. We did not off the Salvation Army. Never. And I just haven't had the best feeling for the Red Cross since then. And then I found out the Red Cross, the guy that was heading up the Red Cross, the kind of money he was making. And, well, I just don't feel good toward them, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll give. When we've give to the people up there, you know, it was in. I don't like for, you know, everybody to know that I feel that bad about it, but
Well, you're
A
not
lot
wrong.
of fellas
I feel the
did.
same way.
A lot of fellas.
They didn't do anything for me.
And that,
They may have done some good some
We're going?
places, but not for me.
and I've heard that they've done a lot of good work up there at that World Trade Center and all that kind of thing.
well, it's a different organization now, but they sure made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And a lot of fellows
Yeah.
were caught that way.
hmm And my brother, of course, he was over there in 4 years in the Japanese theater, and he run into the same thing, and so it wasn't an isolated incident, you know, and
Right.
that kind of thing. But
So where was he? What were some of the places he went?
he went to, I know New Guinea, and I know he spent a lot of time in New Guinea, but I'm not sure on the rest of it, you know.
Yeah.
But he went 4 years and only got a broken thumb out of it.
Wow.
He was really fortunate, and he was. You happen to know my brother Don. He's one of them little wiry characters, you know, and everything. And well, first thing you know, he'd ride home. He was a sergeant. Next time he'd ride home, he was a private. And the next time he was. next time he ride home, he was a sergeant again, you know. He said his commanding officer told him he was too damn good to keep down and too damn ornery to keep up.
They sound like he's got some good stories.
Well, he's not anymore. He's gone.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, that's the sad thing about it. Too
Yeah.
many of those good
Yeah.
stories. Actually, getting wounded probably saved your life,
Yeah.
or else you'd have
I'm
been in
sure.
that minefield.
I was the lucky one.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I'll admit that. Yeah.
Wow.
Because if I hadn't, I probably wouldn't be here today.
God is good.
Yeah. I told you that coming over here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But me getting hit, well, I was the lucky one. Because I got out of that mess. It was.
So after the war, you went back to civilian life, and what'd you do? What'd you take up then?
Well, factory work. I'm retired from Delco Remy and General Motors. I worked for Kokomo back when it was Delco Radio, and then I got laid off up there, and I come back and went to work for Steel Parts in Tipton, and I didn't like it over there at all. And then they called me to Remy's, and I went over there to interview, and he found out I was laid off at Kokomo. Well, he said, if I hire you in over here, why, he said, they'll be calling you back and you'll go back up there. And I told him, I said, I was wanting out of the steel plating.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you hire me in and I'll stay. He said, my land, man. He said, I ain't got nothing but your word on that. And I said, my God, man, I ain't got nothing to give you but my word.
Yeah.
And he said, he said, I believe you. He said, I'm going to take a chance on you. And I stayed, and that's where I retired from. And a week later, I got called back to Kokomo.
Huh. Over there.
I went ahead and just stayed over here because I told the man I would.
Yeah.
And if I tell somebody something, that's the way it is if I can do it at all.
So how many children do you have?
4.
4.
Mhm.
What are their names?
Well, that one's, you know him.
Yeah, I know him pretty well.
And then,
For the tape. For the tape.
and then Vicky Legg, and Teresa Blake, and Anita Scott.
Okay.
Then for the tape.
All right. Well, come around. Come here. You might as well get in on this. We've been talking about this baby boy. Get down there where you can be seen well. Get down there, see.
We gotta get down.
Folks, this is Hershel. Dear friend of mine and a worker here with the NVHA, so we're glad we could do this interview. Oh, now we can get back up again. Well, any words for posterity?
I had a couple questions.
Yeah, I got
Oh, got questions. We'll get to questions first. Fire
Go
away.
ahead, Steve.
No, go ahead.
Your brother-in-law, what was his name?
Oh, Ernie Ogden.
Ernie Ogg.
Uh-huh.
And he went where after he left you?
You mean overseas?
Yes.
I didn't know him overseas. The last I seen of him was in Camp Kilmer, New Jersey, and then when we went overseas, we got separated, and I didn't see him anymore until he come back and come out here to see my wife's sister.
Didn't he talk about where he went or anything? I just
No, he got frostbite. I do know that, and his feet got real bad, and of course he's been gone now for several years. He was quite a bit older than I was, and he enlisted after his first wife died, and he just didn't know what to do, and he just enlisted in the service, and so he's been dead now for I don't know, 20 years or more. And my wife's sister's gone too. She'd been dead for quite some time. And
Then on the couch here, we were talking about some tail gunners, and you had mentioned a couple things about that.
well, I asked you if you knowed Art McKenzie. Did you know him? I worked with him at Delco Remy, and me and him were special friends. I mean, and not a nicer guy that you ever wanted to meet than Art McKenzie, as far as I'm concerned. And me and him went fishing together and that kind of thing. And in fact, Sunday, why me and my wife's leaving for Arkansas, I ain't gonna take my boat because my old equipment's getting old, and I don't trust it on the road. I got a motorhome that I won't take anymore, and we're just going down to visit friends. We probably got more friends in Arkansas now than we have in Elwood.
I'll be
Yeah.
going to Arkansas December 23rd,
You are?
11 days.
Oh, where are you going?
We'll be going to Fairfield Bay, and then I have some friends in Arkansas also at Texarkana
Well,
and Murfreesboro.
do you know where D. Gray Lake is? Well,
Not
you know where Arkadelphia is?
Mhm.
Well, you turn at that 78 exit at Arkadelphia and go toward Hot Springs. That's where we're going.
We'll be going right through Hot Springs.
Well, that's where we're going. We're going and just about 10 or 15 miles this side of Hot Springs is D. Gray Lake. And if you go over 78 or 7 on the 78 exit, well, you go right to Hot Springs. You go right past where I'm going.
Wow.
Mhm.
So are you going to be there in December?
No, we're
I
just
won't see you.
we're just going. We're leaving Sunday and going down for 2 weeks. Just going down mainly to visit. And I got friends down there and good fishing friends and everything. And they're one of them. He insists I'm going out fishing with him, and I'd love to. The only thing is I shove his wife out of the seat when I go. You know.
Oh, yeah.
And she insists I do it.
Yeah.
But last spring I wouldn't go, and but I might this time. And I got a couple rods I'm taking down there. I want him to try because he's wanting some new rods, and I got some I think he's really going to like, but he hasn't been able to try them. I had one down there last spring, but just showed it to him, but he hadn't tried it. But no, we've been going down there for the first time was in 1979, and we've been going down there from once or twice a year ever since. And I've got, like I say, I expect more friends down there than I got here. And
Well,
this,
Steve, you had some questions, didn't you?
Yeah. It was kind of interesting you talking about not getting your pay. I was kind of curious, how much did you get paid, how often, and what in the heck could
Well-
you do with any money they gave you over there anyway?
well,
That's a good question.
of course, I didn't have a need for a lot of money. I think my wife got, I think I got $18 a month. I believe it was $18 a month, and I think my wife got something around 50, and that was to live on.
So did you come around and give you cash
Yeah.
when you were over there, or how did you guys get paid?
Cash.
Pardon?
How did you get paid
Cash.
when you
I
were?
paid a month.
Cash.
$81 a month as a sergeant.
They just come out and give you cash once a month, and
Oh, you got cash, Phil.
yeah.
But I didn't get paid enough that I can answer that question while I was there.
You never got paid.
No,
It wasn't a factor.
it wasn't.
The dollar was the dollar, though.
It was not a factor because, I mean, once you get redlined, you don't get no money until, then when you do, you get it all at once, but $18 a month, even in 6 months, well, that ain't very much money.
$21 a month.
Huh?
As a private, I got 21 a month.
I got 18.
How come?
I don't know. You was better private than I was, I guess.
So what? If you did get paid, what typically would you use your money on?
Oh, you go to the PX if there was one available or something,
Yeah.
but up where we was at, you don't have to worry about that because there wasn't none.
Animal
But-
problem.
No, nowhere else that either.
Here in the States, why PX or something like that, you spend a little money if you want to, and
So you just
Had-
roll it up, and keep it in your pocket, and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe gamble a little bit or
Yeah.
something like that. Something like that.
Did you
Pass
gamble
time.
going overseas?
Huh?
Did you gamble going overseas?
I don't remember. Well, I did or
I
not.
do.
I done some gambling while I was in the service, like playing poker or shooting a little crap or something like that. Just something to do, you know.
And
But-
I went overseas. I got involved in poker and I did all right. Somebody introduced me to blackjack. And I never played blackjack before. And I got my clock cleaned on it. So I went 1,500 of it. I got because I spent some money in San Diego before, but I lost probably half of that in playing cards. See, going over. I didn't know I was going to come back or not. So I figured, what the heck?
Yeah.
I got back and I blew the other 1,500 in Dago. And I met Gloria. And I had to borrow money from her for the first date. No kidding. That's hard to believe, isn't it? But actually, she appreciated it. Fortunately, the simple things in life. So she always told me I was a cheap date. But anyway, that's life.
Well, anybody got any other questions for Hershel?
Hershel, did you say something about actually seeing some of the tail gunners' planes when they come back in?
No. I just talking about Art. He's a personal friend of mine, and he was a tail gunner.
Okay.
And that's all. I
gunner?
didn't.
A tail gunner?
Yeah, he was a tail gunner.
That's a bad position.
Yeah, Russ was telling us about that.
And he got shot down over there, and was taken in by some of the natives over there. He wasn't a prisoner of war.
Oh.
He
No,
was not a
No.
he wasn't a prisoner of war, but he got taken in with some of the people over there, and they took care of him till
Where was that
over in the European theater somewhere. I don't know.
Is he still alive?
Who did?
Art.
Art? Oh no, Art. If you're talking about the same Art McKenzie I am, no, he died.
3, 4? Been 3 or 4 years?
Has it been that long? Maybe so.
2 to 4.
Some, huh?
2 to 4.
Someplace in that vicinity.
I know him. It's just that I didn't know he died.
Yeah, yeah. He moved down there to Cloverdale. And then he come back to down around Middletown, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was in that. Was in that camp. Trailer park at Middletown.
Well, we need to put a capper on this one.
All right.
So, what are your words for posterity? What do you want to share with your kids and your grandkids? Tell the world.
My land, I about shared it. I think about everything I know. I mean, as far as this situation now, what can we do but go on? And we got. I know we'll lose troops. I mean, we'll lose people, but you can't just lay down and die.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can say.
Just keep on going.
Yeah. If you give up, why you ain't gonna have no life. So
That's right.
Got to pay for it, don't we?
we gotta pay the price it takes to. But I've got 5 grandkids, and if there's anything I could do, if I could give my life today to keep one of them going, I'd do it, because my life is over, basically. And in a few days, I'm going to be 78 years old. And
You're just a young fellow.
well, I know that, but still, I would rather give my life as
So would I.
one of my grandkids have to go.
Do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because we've lived our life.
Did the war change your thinking on anything?
Well, how do you mean that? I mean,
You pretty much the same guy coming out as you were going in. Does it
well,
make you think more about life, or
I suppose, yeah. I guess I wasn't a very religious person before I went to the war, but I made a vow to God that I'd read the Bible from cover to cover if he got me back out of that mess. And I've done it more than once.
Yeah.
I've done it more than once.
Did you absorb it all?
No, absolutely not. No,
Oh.
I'm not a reader, and I don't understand what I read. I don't remember what I read, but
Well, you retain some of it.
I told him I'd do it,
Yeah,
and I done it.
that's all right.
Well, you're a man of your word.
And yeah,
Private McCorkle, you were formally discharged now.
okay,
We
and
thank you for your service.
well,
to our country and,
yeah, that's
and to us.
no problem there. You know.